Hey everyone! All right, we've had a few technical difficulties at this end. Be Live was throwing me some errors, but we are here. We were a few minutes late, and today we are talking mindfulness. So, hi everybody. As you're jumping on in, make sure you say hi. Let me know you're here, where you're tuning in from, so that I can say hi back to you, and also who actually practices mindfulness. I would love to know your thoughts and if you are somebody who actually practices mindfulness. So we've got Kaylina in the house, Sheridan, Lucia, and everyone's starting to talk to each other, which is absolutely fantastic. So today, as I said, we are going to be talking about mindfulness, and all of my things are not doing what they're supposed to do. Please don't die. Oh no. Okay, cool. Looks like we're working again. Technical difficulties, I tell you, today is just one of those days, but this is what happens when we go live, right, guys? Nothing always goes to plan, and you know what? Sometimes things are just not perfect, and we've got to come to terms with that. All right, so I'm so excited, and this goes out to Age, because Age said to me when I stopped doing my 365-day challenge, she's like, well, what about Thoughtful Thursdays? And I'm like, no, babe, it's okay. Thoughtful Thursdays is going nowhere. So we'll be in here every Thursday at 10:30, providing technology is on my side, and we'll be doing a little bit of reflective stuff, working on our mindset, because mindset is super, super important to the business, to running your business, just to being happy, which is fantastic, right? We all want to be happy in life. All right, so let's get started with the content. I'm pretty sure everyone's raring to go. All right, so let us get into it. So most of us, right, we probably want to live our lives and we want to be happy, right? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be happy for everyone around you? I mean, if you can be happy for, say, your best friend who gets an all expenses paid trip to Europe, wouldn't that be good? What about if you get happy for that competitor who lands that client that you were so close to landing, or that team member? You'd be happy for them, right? Or, you know, if you were you just loved every single person around you. Now, if you are doing all of those things, then you're probably a puppy dog. Because a puppy dog is somebody who they're just so happy all the time, right? But as humans, that's not the case. We're not this smiling, happy, carefree puppy dog all of the time, are we? No. Because we're people. We're full of emotions, and we are full of feelings, you know, even the harmful feelings and the harmful things that can stop us in our tracks. You know, we can be our worst enemies, am I right? Like, we can be so judgmental, and worst of all, you know, we can be so judgmental to ourselves as well, because we put so many high expectations on ourselves to be perfect. And if we're not doing everything right, we start to bash ourselves down, and we start to self-ridicule ourselves, and we put a lot of judgment on ourselves as well. And you know what? Honestly, there is no such thing as perfectionism, being perfect. It is totally not possible at all. We have to change. We have to develop. And things happen through our lives where we have to learn to grow and to transform no matter where we are, what our circumstances are. And, you know, one of the most effective ways for us to make change in ourselves is to practice mindfulness. Now, do you know, I only actually discovered the term mindfulness this year. Look, I knew all about meditation, and I've struggled pretty much most of my life. I've been on a personal journey, especially in the last 12 months. And this year, when I discovered mindfulness, it has really, really opened my eyes. I've been struggling most of my life with a really deep, dark secret. And internally, I have been battling my own demons. My entire life has been a personal journey of living with these internal demons and these internal thoughts. And worst of all was the fear and the feeling of fear and loneliness and being surrounded by so much love in my family, but still feeling so lonely. In the last couple of years or so, things have really started to kind of bubble to the surface. I think I'm getting a lot older. And it was starting to bubble to the surface like sort of not before. And I was starting to sort of lose my tools for my coping strategies. And I was suffering from really, really severe, horrible flashbacks. And I kept judging myself. And I kept telling myself, like, Sally, you're so stupid. What are you doing? You are a grown woman. I mean, in November, I'm turning 40, for goodness sakes. And I'm so loved. I've got such a beautiful, wonderful family. Why is my stupid brain keep drawing me back into my past? And I just couldn't understand exactly what was going on. And it wasn't until my husband sort of spoke to me and he said, you know what, honey, I think you need to go and speak to somebody. And I'd been playing with the idea on and off. And I even remember at our honeymoon over in Fiji, sitting on the beach, having a cocktail with my husband. He said, you know, one day you'll probably need to talk about this stuff. And we've been married or together now for 18 years. So I went off and I sought the help of professionals, which everybody should do, and never be ashamed to seek the help of a professional. And you know what I discovered, which I had absolutely no idea until this year. But my life, I've been suffering from PTSD, and I'm a survivor of trauma, and it's affected me and my brain development as I've grown. And look, I'm a very rational person, and you know me, I like to get shit done, right? I like to figure stuff out, and everything's fixable, everything's workoutable. You know, every problem there is a solution, and I just wanted a fix. I just wanted everything to just give me an answer, make it better. So through this service, you know, I came to the realization that, yes, I've been suffering from PTSD. And through this service, they referred me to this amazing program. Now, I'm not sure, you may have heard me talking about this because I was not speaking about it, but I was doing a 12-week program. I think it was 12, could have been 10-week program. I know it went over 12 weeks. It was an amazing 12-week program, and it was called TACT. Now, I used to do Thoughtful Thursdays on a Thursday when the TACT group was running, because I would go along to this, and I just was telling everybody I was doing training, and my brain, Amanda, my operations manager, was saying, Sally's just at her training session, where I was actually at this TACT group. Now, TACT is actually, it's a form of therapy. It's developed from a form of therapy called ACT. And you can Google ACT therapy, and it stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. And I highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend this type of therapy. And tact, with the little T on the front, it focuses around people with trauma. So it's trauma acceptance commitment therapy. So the ACT is a form of counselling, and it's based around the psychological intervention that the use of acceptance and also mindfulness strategies with a focus on being committed to behavioural changes and remolding of the brain. And this is called neuroplasticity, if you haven't heard about it before. And you know what? I loved this group. It was not like this, snake oil sort of, heebie-jeebie kind of group. It was all really based around scientific evidence, and they had that scientific evidence to back up their claims. And this is what really drew me to it, because I am a rational-based person, and I really want to know the ins and the outs and the workings of why things happen. So we learned how the brain is wired, and, especially when you suffer from some sort of trauma, could be all different types of trauma, but especially trauma from a young age, it really opened my eyes to see who I am as a person. And, my past has defined the wiring in my brain and my personality and why I think and feel the way that I do. Now, I can get sucked back into the past, and, it can activate the PTSD, but most of the time I live in the future. The body is an absolutely amazing thing, and my body is extraordinary. It has done things to help me survive. I've always loved to keep busy. I've always had a really big vision. And you know what it was? This has helped me become a successful entrepreneur. It is something that has given me that kind of get shit done attitude. And it's allowed me to keep my mind from slipping back into the past by focusing on the future, keeping really, really, really busy on the future, so I don't slip back into the past. And you see me, and I talk about this quite regularly. I tend to go into little bubbles where I can get so focused, and I won't come out of my bubble until I'm totally finished, which can be a good or a bad thing. And my family, they can suffer a lot from this. For example, this is something my husband's been doing to try to help me to stop from going into these really big bubbles of starting and having to finish something. Not always perfect, but if I've got a start and an end point, I'm always kind of reaching for the future in the end. We will be out in the garden weeding, and he will stop me from pulling out those last few weeds, even though I'll never finish weeding, they're always there, but I've got a purpose to get a certain area done. He will try and pull me away from that to stop me from, going into those crazy bubbles. Developing my product page. I've just gone into a bubble for the last 2 days developing my products page on my website. I'm like, it's got to be done. It's 80% done. Now it's out there. It's done, right? But through ACT, what I've really, really learned is that I need to learn to sit. I need to learn to sit and be present in the present moment. The objectives of life is not to eliminate your feelings, but they're there, whether they be good or whether they're bad. They're just feelings, whether they're pleasant or whether they're difficult. Rather, just be present. Be present at what life brings us, and to move forward towards that valued behavior and acceptance of, it just is. So who here actually practices meditation or mindfulness out there? Does anyone actually practice it? So if someone told you to, be mindful or to do meditation, who finds it hard to meditate? Say yes, hard, or No, easy. Who finds it hard to actually meditate? I mean, let's do this now. Like, just stop. Let's stop for a moment and take a deep breath in and just focus on the breath. Breathing in and just focusing on the breath and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. Now, did you find that your mind was wandering? Did you take that breath in and focus on absolutely nothing else but the breath, being in this moment? When I first started trying to practice just on breath alone, breathing in and breathing out, and my mind would wander. It'd be off. And I'll be thinking about the future. And then, no, Sally, bring yourself back. Bring yourself back to the present moment. And now breathe in and breathe out. And off my mind would go again, thinking about the past, lost in my visions of the future, and then I would just start to get frustrated because it's not easy, right? It's not easy. I would get so frustrated. Just the thought of trying to meditate would make me feel anxious because I couldn't do it right. I mean, in actual fact, what happens, right, is it's so difficult to be in the present moment. Just think about it. I've been talking now for probably 5-10 minutes or so. Has your mind wandered off? Have you been thinking about other things? Yes? Have you? Research shows that our mind actually wanders about 40% of the time. Truly, honestly. Half of our lives we're actually spending not here in the present moment. It's pretty crazy, right? But the practice of mindfulness is just to simply be present. Be here, right now. Now, I always talk about getting uncomfortable, right? And if you practice getting uncomfortable, you can grow your confidence and grow your confidence muscles by getting uncomfortable to get more confident, whether it's hitting that go live button, whether it's making that phone call, whatever it is, you can practice to grow those confidence muscles. Well, like your muscles, the more we practice and we exercise using mindfulness, the stronger and stronger we will become at it. At first, it will be extremely difficult. Your mind will wander all over the place. But the more you practice, the stronger and stronger you will become. And you know what will happen? It will start to do this neuroplasticity thing. Like this, it's been proven, right, that we can rewrite our brain. Repeated actions over and over again, we can sculpt our brain. We can change the growth and the strength of our synaptic connections. There are actually scans that show people who practice meditation have a stronger and thicker connections in the areas that are practice, like that help with relaxation and stress relief and also being creative. And it's called a cortical thickening. It's where we grow new neurons in response to repeated practice. Like when you practice, you grow and get stronger muscles. So if you try to practice mindfulness, you also need to stop from judging yourself, okay? Because when you're practicing mindfulness and you're going, oh God, you're silly, you're thinking about the past again, or stop doing that, stupid, you're thinking about the future, oh, I'm thinking about the birds outside, stop it. And you start judging yourself and telling yourself off. Do you know what you're doing? just like practicing mindfulness will grow, if you keep practicing judging yourself, you are growing judgment. If you keep letting fear get in the way and practicing being fearful, you are going to grow fear. If you allow yourself to get frustrated over silly things, small things, you are growing frustration. Our brains, they are developing all the time. In every single moment of the day, our brains are developing, and not just during meditation and mindfulness. So ask yourself this: what type of brain do you want to be growing? Because you can control your thoughts and what it is that you practice. So what do you want to practice? So since discovering mindfulness this year, I've been, as you can tell, learning lots and lots more about it. And I found so much evidence that shows that it actually does work. It reduces stress, it helps with relaxation, it helps with sleep, and it's been used to treat various mental and health issues as well. And the other thing that really stood out to me is that there's a lot of research that shows those people that have participated in the research for mindfulness, people from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, they all have this one underlying feeling that they're just not quite good enough, or they feel that they're not good, or maybe they just don't feel okay, or maybe they're living that life that they don't want to be living, or they're not living the life that they really want to. Now, this is an amazing amount of self-ridicule again, and judgment and shame that we put back on ourselves. I mean, we all know the word shame, right? I mean, shame is a universal word. And I mean, I have learned this word was one of my most defining moments in my TACT group. It was the most eye-opening experience that I had during this TACT program. And the destructiveness of shame and how destructive it can be. You see, for years and years, I thought I was suffering from guilt. And my life, all my life, I've thought I was guilty. Now, but my life has changed since we covered this session on shame. It was like a life-changing realization that I was not feeling guilty, like using that word guilt, because I know deep down inside I wasn't guilty, right? But I felt that I was guilty for some reason. But do you know what guilt actually means? Guilt means that you have done something wrong. That means that you have bad behavior. And I knew deep down inside that it wasn't my fault, and what happened to me was nothing to do with me. But when I realized that I wasn't actually suffering from guilt, I was suffering from shame, everything changed. Shame is a focus on oneself, on you, on yourself. Instead of thinking I did something wrong, I was living with the thought in my head that I was wrong. I am bad. I'm a bad person. And even though people use these words, guilt and shame, and they use them and they interchange these words, there is a huge difference between thinking that you're bad and doing something that is bad. So when I gained acceptance that I was suffering from shame, oh my goodness, like the tears, like I'm not a huge crier. The tears were flowing, and we had this thing in the group. It was, you weren't allowed to rescue anybody, and it was the first time that somebody passed me the tissues. It was called, because we weren't there to share our stories, we weren't there to wallow in each other's suffering and see who had the biggest trauma. There was no discussion at all. We weren't to discuss what our trauma was. We were not to rescue each other when we had feelings of emotions. The rule was the only thing you can do to help others was to pass the tissues. Because a lot of us who have suffered some form of trauma in one way or another, we tend to be very compassionate people. We're very caring people. We're the type of people who want to save others and help other people. So the most we could do is pass the tissues. We had to allow each other just to be in those emotions, to learn to accept them, that they're there, and that's okay. You see, with shame needs 3 things to grow. I've got goosebumps all over. Shame needs 3 things to grow. And that is secrecy, silence, and judgment. And by keeping quiet, shame can creep into every single part of your life, in every single crevice of your life. It's like a petri dish of shame. The more quiet you are, the more it grows. The more secrets you keep, the more it grows. The more judgment you put on yourself, and you continue to bully yourself internally and fighting against your brain. And I kept exercising that part of my brain. Stupid Sally, you're old enough. You're a woman. You've got a happy family. What are you doing? The more you keep practicing that, the more you're exercising that part of the brain. The bottom line is shame cannot, and this was the most eye-opening part and why I am here today speaking to you. The bottom line is shame cannot survive the spoken word. It cannot survive through empathy. It cannot survive through compassion, and it cannot survive through kindness to oneself. Now, I know that I can forgive myself. I now can speak about it. I'm totally not there yet. I am still on my road to healing. I am still on a path to healing. You know, I still haven't been able to say exactly what it is but I can admit that I am a survivor of trauma, and I am now self-aware. I am no longer judging myself for my past behaviors of telling myself off. I'm learning to forgive myself. And one huge thing I tell myself all the time when I find myself slipping back is, you know better now. You are now self-aware. And I don't beat myself up for that realization. A huge catchphrase saying that I say is forgive yourself for what you didn't know before you knew it. And I'm still learning. Every day I practice. I try to pull myself back into the present moment. I don't want to be somebody who spends 47% of their life in the past or in the future and not appreciating what I have right here in this present moment. And I can tell you, it does get easier with practice. The more you practice, you will grow that mindfulness muscle, I promise. And I know a lot of you out there, when you think about meditation, right? About practicing meditation, that it is a really hard thing to do, right? Hey, Amanda, you may want to go back and watch this, baby. You may think about practicing meditation, and this is probably what you think of, right? Here's meditation. That's what meditation sort of feels like, right? You think this is meditation. This is probably what happens from meditation, this. Oh, this way, right? That's me when I first started trying to practice meditation. But through all the research and the learnings that I've done, now, if you can't close your eyes and meditate, that is fine. That is totally fine. You don't have to be this person, but please be kind. Kindness, don't be judgmental, and just love yourself. So what I want to share with you now is a technique that I found that has really, really helped me. And I want everybody now, we're going to do something together. Are you ready to do something together? So let's get rid of my little crazy man over here. Oh, there he is. Hi, I'm back. So I found a technique, and it's called the 3x3 method. Now, apart from being the number 3, and if you know me well, you know that 3 is an awesome number in the world of Sally. So the 3x3 method, it's a simple 30-second exercise that I found by Phil, I think it's Bozier. I think that's how you say it, Phil Bozier. So what you do is you look at an object, and you've got to pick 3 objects, okay? And I've actually got 3 objects here for you to look at. So you've got to pick 3 objects. Now, you've got to name the physical object, but you can do it when you're standing around. You can do it on the bus, in an Uber, driving down the road, at home, and you can just say this object's name in your head, okay? Or look, if you want to say it out loud, you can, but I think they might think you're a bit crazy if you're doing it on the bus. I don't know if you want to, but you want to say this out loud. So I've got a pen, okay? So this is a pen. Now, I could say this is a purple pen and it's my favorite colored pen. But what you want to do is when you look at the object, you don't want to put any emotions tagged to this object. So you just want to name the object, no emotional connection. So not this is my favorite pen. This is a pen. Okay. So prevent that. We want to prevent positive and negative emotions because they'll influence this activity. Now, it's okay if emotions come in and they go, okay, because we're human. That's what makes us human. So once we've picked our 3 objects, so our 3 objects are a pen, a glass, a cup. Age. All right. A pen, a glass, a cup. Now, please don't put any emotional attachment on these. They are just objects. Now, you're going to look at the object and you're going to take a deep breath in, focusing on the object only, and a deep breath out. And then you'll look at the next object, and so on, and repeat. So it's 1, pick 3 objects, so 3 by 3 by 3. So 1, pick 3 objects, 2, take a deep breath, 3, repeat. And we do this 3 times. Are you ready? Send me some hearts across the screen. Yes, to show you ready. Awesome. All right, here we go. It's a pen. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a glass. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a cup. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a pen. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a glass. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a cup. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a pen. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a glass. Breathing in, breathing out. It's a cup. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay. Now, how does that feel? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel less stressed? It's as simple as that. Now, it can be tricky. It can be tricky, right? So if you need to, just do it multiple times throughout the day, just once. 3 objects, do it once, 1 pen, 1 glass, 1 cup, and stop. It will help bring you back into the present moment. It will get easier with time. And you need to practice. So I'm putting a challenge out there to whenever you think about the 3x3 rule, I want you to just stop. You don't have to go and do it 9 times because 3x3 is 9. You just do it 3 times, 3 objects, 3 breaths, and you're done. So hopefully you feel relaxed and you're appreciating the present moment. But I'm going to leave you with 2 jobs to do today. And over time, what's going to happen is you're going to feel less stressed, less anxiety, less worry, and you'll also tend to experience more joy and a greater degree of acceptance. So the other thing I want you to do, and you're probably going to feel extremely uncomfortable with this, but every morning when you wake up, and I know you probably go to the toilet or you have a shower, there's a mirror somewhere in your house. So the first thing you do, and the first mirror you walk past in the morning, and I'm sure everyone goes past a mirror first thing in the morning, I want you to stop and look at yourself with non-judgmental eyes, because you are beautiful. But I want you to look at non-judgmental eyes and just say, "Good morning, Sally." Now, when I first started doing this, I'm like, oh God, I felt really awkward and nervous and weird. And then one day it was like calming. And then once you get to that point, this was something that I saw, I can't remember where I saw it actually, but then you go on to the next step. And if you can do this, you say, "Good morning, Sally. I love you." Now, for the first few times, I was like, I've got goosebumps now because it works. The first few times I did this, I'm like, yeah, I love you, Sally. Yeah. But don't be judgmental with yourself. One day I did it and I said, "Good morning, Sally. I love you." And you know what I felt? And I'm feeling it now. I've got goosebumps all over. I felt my husband's love, my mother's love, my grandpa's love. I felt my daughter's love. And it's so powerful when you love yourself, when you truly, truly love yourself, because you guys, you're worth it. You are so worth it. Life is too short to be tearing yourself down. Please go out there, guys. Go out there and love yourself, because you deserve it. Love yourself like you would your own child. Okay. Hopefully this has been a wonderful, thoughtful Thursday for you. I'm going to put a post up, and I want everybody to come back throughout the day inside the Sparkle Suite and tell us some things that you've been thoughtful for, even grateful for throughout today. Mwah. Love you guys. Tissues, pass the tissues. Never let anyone dull your sparkle. And of course, I will see you again, but not every day anymore. Bye. Thanks, sparklers.